call the roll when we get enough folks here to do that. Let's begin with Senate Bill 907, public hearing for Senate Bill 907. Senator Carter, if you would, please proceed when ready. And if I could get a quick show of hands while the senator is going to the podium, how many folks are here to testify for this bill? Excellent. Very good. Senator, please proceed.
I saw you sigh when there was only one person here to testify. Usually education is a little more controversial than this one. Members of the committee, I'm Senator Jill Carter, representing the 32nd District. This is to Senate Bill 907 is a simple tweak to statute to allow the expansion of the mission statement for the Missouri Southern State College. It will include life sciences, health sciences, and also an immersion experience. That's the tweak that we're asking for. I have the Executive Vice President of MSSU Dr. Brad Hudson here to testify, so at this time I'll just turn it over to him if that's okay.
Thank you, Senator, for that brief explanation. Any questions for the bill sponsor? Seeing none. First witness in support, please come forward. Make sure you fill out your witness card, and please proceed with your brief testimony. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you, Senator Trent. As the Executive Vice President and a graduate of Missouri Southern State University, I do appreciate the opportunity to speak to the committee regarding Senate Bill 907. A statewide mission is recognition that a university has placed a strategic focus on areas that are important to the university, the region, and the state as a whole. Missouri Southern is proposing to expand its statewide mission currently in international education to include health and life sciences and immersive learning experiences. Importantly, no other Missouri four-year institution has any of these three elements as part of their statewide mission designation, so this request does not infringe on any of our sister institutions. Regarding the process, on September 13th, the Missouri Coordinating Board of Higher Education unanimously approved our proposal to expand Missouri Southern's mission, concluding the university had successfully met the criteria for such an expansion. We are now seeking support and approval from the General Assembly. So why do we seek to add these elements to our mission? Well, regarding health and life sciences, Missouri Southern has a remarkable breadth of programs in this area. We have 14 undergraduate degree programs in health and life sciences, the greatest of any public university in the state. These programs are of the highest quality. For example, in May 2023, our graduates achieved a 100% pass rate in licensure exams in nursing, dental hygiene, paramedicine, and radiological technology. We also will break ground in April on a new 65,000 square foot Roy Blunt Health Science Innovation Center that will expand our capacity to address unmet health and life science workforce needs within the state. So this request before you today supports our strategic focus not only of the university, but also of the region in Southwest Missouri. On behalf of the students, faculty, and alumni of Missouri Southern State University, we would appreciate the committee's positive consideration of Senate Bill 907.
Thank you for that testimony. Questions for this witness from the committee? Seeing none. Thank you again for being here. I appreciate that you have to quickly return to Southwest Missouri. Hope you have safe travels.
Thank you, sir.
Any further witnesses testify in support? Any witnesses here testify in opposition? Any witnesses for informational purposes only? Seeing none, that will conclude the public hearing on Senate Bill 907. We will next go to the public hearing of Senate Bill 749. Senator Hough, please come forward and proceed when ready.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. For the record, Senator Lincoln Hough, representing the 30th Senatorial District down in Springfield. And before you for consideration this morning is Senate Bill 749. I'll go through it real briefly, and then we've got a couple of witnesses in support. I can't imagine there's any opposition. But this is quite simply, there's three provisions that this would repeal. The first being that the University of Missouri is the only university in this state that will be the exclusive grantor of research doctorates. The second provision being that degrees in podiatry, chiropractic, and osteopathic medicine would again be only conferred by the University of Missouri. And then finally, degrees in engineering also only conferred by the University of Missouri. Essentially what this bill does is restores the ability for the Coordinating Board for Higher Education, which by the way is appointed by the governor to allow needed degrees be conferred by any institution in this state of higher education if the coordinating board deems them necessary. More than happy to answer any questions. I will, before we get into the witnesses in support, I'll just remind the University of Missouri system that last year in the budget they received almost $500 million, and I do serve as the appropriations chair. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you for that presentation of the bill.
Thank you.
Any questions for the bill sponsor, who is the appropriations chair, I would remind you.
Just a friendly reminder.
I have a question.
Good morning.
Please proceed, Senator.
So tell me the process that already occurs. I know with the coordinating board has to approve mission statements and things like that, the expansion, just simply like we did. So how would this change?
So essentially what happened, and again, we've got some folks that will testify about the nuance of this.
If I could, real quickly, there's some people having trouble hearing the microphones. I'm not sure which.
Close.
Really?
Yes.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Essentially what happened a few years ago, there was a statute put in place that allowed the University of Missouri system to be, as I described, the only university in this state that can confer certain doctoral programs, things like that. Okay. This just seeks to give that responsibility back to the coordinating board for higher ed.
Okay, so the process is going to basically remain the same. If
It essentially removes the veto authority that the University of Missouri system has currently.
Gotcha. Okay, I appreciate that.
You bet.
Thank you.
Further questions for the bill sponsor?
You missed the whole presentation, Emily.
Seeing none.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Run it again.
Thank you to the bill
Thank you,
sponsor.
Chairman.
Before we begin taking testimony, we will call the roll and establish a quorum. So, Mr. Secretary, would you please call the roll?
Senator Trent.
Here.
Coleman. Arthur. Beck.
Here.
Brown. Carter. Fitzwater. Gannon. Razor. Luekemeyer. Thompson Rader.
All right, very good. We will now begin with favorable testimony. First witness in support, please come forward. Make sure you filled out a witness card and proceed when ready.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, my name is Thomas Strong. I'm here speaking in support of Senate Bill 749, and will pay particular attention to the financial aspects of the bill. If Senate Bill 749 becomes law, how would that affect PhD degrees? At the present time, no tax-supported university in Missouri can offer a PhD degree except MU. And this has nothing to do with cost. Missouri University offers PhD degrees on all 4 of its campuses. If the University of Missouri in St. Louis can offer PhD degrees, shouldn't other non-MU universities have the same right? Is UMSL to be elevated above all non-MU universities just because it is part of the MU system? And if money is needed to fund a PhD at UMSL, shouldn't those funds be equally available to other universities? The fact is that PhD degrees are not cost prohibitive. The Northwestern Oklahoma State University, with only 1,852 students, offers PhD degrees. Emporia State University in Kansas, with an enrollment of only 4,650 students, offers PhD degrees. The University of Central Arkansas, with an enrollment of only 4,994 students, offers PhD degrees. If these small, tax-supported universities in our sister states can offer PhD degrees, they are not cost prohibitive. And I do not claim that a PhD degree from Truman State or University of Central Missouri or Missouri State or SEMO would have the same value as a PhD from University of Missouri Columbia. But I do claim that a PhD degree from one of these tax-supported universities in Missouri would benefit Missouri in the same way that a PhD degree from Northwestern Oklahoma benefits Oklahoma, in the same way that a PhD degree from Emporia State benefits Kansas, in the same way that a PhD degree from Central Arkansas benefits Arkansas. It would give a fine education to Missouri students who would remain here for that high degree, and it would attract students from other states to come here for a PhD degree. It would add to Missouri's workforce. It would boost Missouri's economy. Now, how would Senate Bill 749 affect the monopolized programs that the University of Missouri now has? The present law says that no tax-supported university in Missouri except MU can offer a program in dentistry, law, medicine, optometry, pharmacy, veterinary medicine. And no university, tax-supported university in Missouri, except MU, can offer a program in chiropractic, osteopathic medicine, podiatry, and engineering, except in cooperation with MU, and MU confers the degree. It's MU's program in someone else's university, and it has nothing to do in cost. Research reveals that Missouri is the only state in the Union where only the flagship university can confer an engineering degree. Nothing to do with cost. Drury University, a tiny university, only 1,375 students, offers engineering degrees. SEMO has said that it would have money in its current budget for an engineering degree if the law permitted it. And some of these programs would be very expensive to offer. If a university wanted a medical school, for example, I've heard the assertion it would cost $100 million. And unless a university wanted a medical school and had some great corporation or someone like Bill Gates to pony up $100 million or whatever it'd take, the coordinating board wouldn't give it the time of day. It wouldn't reach the issue, do we really need another medical school? Or wouldn't reach the issue of, wouldn't another medical school duplicate what we already have? That would be the situation today. But Senate Bill 749 is not just about today. It's about the future. And unless Senate Bill 749 is passed, or a bill like it is passed, the University of Missouri will have a monopoly forever on all PhD degrees and all of its monopolized programs. And what about the ability to raise money? Of course, no university can raise money for a program if the law outlaws the program. On the other hand, MU can have a capital campaign to fund any of its monopolized programs. No other university can. Isn't that hypocrisy? Well, and you know, there's nothing about Senate Bill 749 that requires the Missouri legislature to appropriate 1 red cent for any of these programs. The Committee on Legislative Research has analyzed the problem and has correctly concluded Senate Bill 749 is fiscally neutral. Any argument that 749 would draw down money in the higher education budget of Missouri does not hold water. And there's another side to this issue. When Missouri does not fulfill its moral obligation to give all of its students an affordable education at a convenient location, we see the results. The students who are going to other states we're losing their tuition, we're losing the money they would spend when they are getting their education, and when they don't return, we lose their brain power, their energy, their talent. We lose the goods and services they and their employees would have brought here. We lose the taxes they would have paid here. How great is that loss? There's no way to determine in dollars and cents because no one signs an affidavit or writes a report when they go to another state. No one says, I, John Doe, attended the University of Arkansas instead of MU because it was cheaper for me or because it was more convenient for me. And when I graduated, I learned that the good jobs in Arkansas were from companies who wanted Arkansas graduates. So the best job offers I had were from Arkansas, and that's why I stayed here. No one knows that when the John Does and Jane Does go to other states for their education, you cannot calculate that loss in dollars and cents, but good common sense says the loss is substantial, and I submit any loss would be too great a loss. Finally, one more point, please. Senate Bill 749 is not an anti-MU bill. I'm a proud graduate of the University of Missouri, and I am so proud of the fine education MU gives to its students. I'm an example. Because of the education I got at MU, I was a successful lawyer. I was selected to represent the state of Missouri in its lawsuit against the tobacco industry that required the tobacco industry to pay into the Missouri's budget $6.7 billion. So I recognize the great thing that MU does, and I emphasize that nothing in this bill curtails any program that MU wants to offer. It will always be able to offer PhD degrees on all 4 of its campuses. It will always be able to offer every program it now offers and every new program that it wants that the coordinating board approves. It's just time to bring higher education in Missouri into the 21st century. No longer should the state of Missouri be the only state that prohibits any university except the flagship university from conferring an engineering degree. No longer should the state of Missouri be the most severe state in curtailing universities that can offer PhD degrees. No longer should MU have a monopoly on so many programs. No longer should all tax-supported universities except MU be treated as second-rate citizens. It's time to pass Senate Bill 749. Thank you.
Thank you for that testimony. Any questions for this witness from the committee? Seeing none. Thank you again for being here, for traveling up here today, and for that testimony.
Thank you, sir. And thank the committee.
Further witnesses here to testify in support for Senate Bill 749. Thank you for being here today. Please proceed when ready.
Mr. Chairman and members of the committee, apologize right off the bat for my voice. I'm getting over the crud, as you can tell, but hopefully you'll be able to hear me okay. I come in support of Senate Bill 749. Let me introduce myself. My name is John Hutchinson. I'm a retired college and university president. I served as president of 1 public and 3 private institutions in the United States. But more appropriately for this committee, I served as Commissioner of Higher Education for the state of Montana. And a little bit of background, I want to make sure you understand I have no personal and no professional connection whatsoever with any public institution in the state of Missouri. So by way of background, Missourians for the Improvement of Higher Education contacted me last fall and asked me to survey other states to determine the statutory limitations they might have on the issuance of doctorates and engineering degrees. So I contacted all of the state higher education executive officers, plus the one in District of Columbia, the state higher education executive officers serve as chiefs of staff to either a coordinating board or a governing board. So, for example, when I was in Montana, I was the state higher education executive officer for the Board of Regents, which was the governing body for all public institutions in the state of Montana. So I received 35 responses from my direct contact with these state higher education executive officers. And for those 16 that I did not receive any feedback, I personally went through the state higher education laws to determine what, if any, limitations they might have. And here are the results. I asked 4 questions. First of all, by statute and not policy, by statute, does your state have any restrictions on the offering of research doctorates or engineering? Secondly, does your state have any restrictions on the issuance of first professional degrees, which is a term of art for degrees like medicine, law, optometry, pharmacy, veterinary medicine, and so on? Third, does the flagship institution in your state retain degree granting rights if other institutions are allowed to offer a doctorate? And finally, does the flagship institution have veto rights if another institution aspires to offer a doctorate or engineering? I will call your attention to handout number 1. I hope you got that handed out in advance. It's a rather tedious handout, so let me summarize it very quickly. First of all, no state in the United States restricts engineering to a single institution. Secondly, 40 states in the United States have no statutory limitations on the issuance of research doctorates by institution. Third, 6 states specify which institutions may offer first professional degrees. Those are California, Connecticut, Louisiana, Missouri, South Dakota, and Washington. Fourth, 9 states do restrict the issuing of research doctorates to 1 or 2 institutions, and those institutions are identified in your handout. Only California has statutory limitations similar to those in Missouri. The research doctorates in the California system are limited only to the branches of the University of California. California state university institutions may offer doctorates in education, audiology, physical therapy, occupational therapy, and public health. All other doctorates are in cooperation with the University of California. So the conclusion from all of this is this: Missouri has the most restrictive statute in the nation when it comes to the issuing of engineering degrees or doctorates. Only California has similar restrictions. And Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, I'd like to conclude with 1 caveat and 3 observations. The caveat is this: the foregoing data that I have provided for you refers to statutory limitations, not limitations by policy. It is true that some states do limit by policy of either the coordinating board or the governing board who can offer doctorates. But understand, of course, that statutes are far more durable than a policy which can simply be changed by a majority vote of the coordinating board or the governing board. Now, my 3 final observations. Some wonder if it makes sense for other institutions in Missouri besides the University of Missouri to offer doctorates when we already have too many institutions of higher learning in the state of Missouri. Well, the second handout I provided for you helps to help understand that a little bit better. If you examine the back side of that page, you will see that Missouri actually ranks in the bottom half of the states in the United States with respect to institutions per capita. It actually ranks 33rd. The second point I'd like to make is this. It is understood that Missouri University was originally established as a research institution, and the other institutions in the state were established as teaching institutions. But I think it is important to understand that institutions mature and evolve over time. So, for example, Harvard was established in 1636 as an institution to train Puritan clergy. Obviously, it has evolved dramatically beyond that. Understandably, it's having some issues today, but certainly it's one of the finest institutions in the country and in the world. A little bit closer to home, I was the provost at Idaho State University, which was started in 1909 as a 2-year technical college with an emphasis on pharmacy. Today it has over 12,000 students and it offers 22 doctorates. It's a comprehensive institution. Institutions mature and evolve. The final point is this. Faculty members who are trained with a research PhD or a research Doctor of Education want to carry their research forward even if they go to teach at a teaching institution. They want to keep that research effort going. But it is very difficult to do so when that institution doesn't offer any research doctorates that they can use to help amplify their own research. So it is a constant force within a teaching institution to develop with a more significant research profile. So that concludes my comments, and I would simply like to thank the committee. In my professional judgment, it is time to loosen the restrictions on the higher education law here in Missouri, and I would certainly urge you to do a do-pass vote on Senate Bill 749. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee.
Thank you for that testimony. Do we have any questions from the committee for this witness? Seeing none, thank you again for being here. Can I get a show of hands real quickly who are here to testify in support that remains, and who is here to testify in opposition? Any informational purposes only? Okay, looks good. Next witness in support, please come forward. Make sure you filled out your witness card and proceed when ready.
Good morning, and thank you for your time. Am I talking into this okay? I don't hear the feedback. Thank you. Committee members, my name's Ed Gargas. I'm a lifelong resident of Southeast Missouri, born and raised in Kennett, proud graduate of Southeast Missouri State University. Had the honor of serving on the Board of Realtors, later Board of Governors, a 3-year term as president. Part of that is my first year as president was a successful acceptance of a statewide mission from this entity and the movement and progression up to the Board of Governors. And so additionally, I'm a veteran, a combat veteran, 31-year plus military career, having enlisted when I started college and retired at the rank of colonel. My comments will be, and then lastly, again, a very proud father of an MU graduate, as well as a 10, almost 15-year season ticket holder to the football Tiger. And so, again, not here to speak against or to say anything that would deter anything that MU can do now. But my comments will be limited to my personal experience of individuals from Southeast Missouri that have chosen, or in other words, maybe forced out of state to get their higher education because it was just strictly cost and or logistically impossible to traverse from Southeast Missouri to Columbia and or Rolla for engineering or other degrees. First, who asked me to mention him by name, Barry Aycock, who is a graduate of Southeast Missouri State, but also got his master's at Mizzou at Columbia, then chose to go get his PhD at SIU Carbondale because of the logistical constraints of trying to get from Parma, Missouri to Columbia on a regular basis. And took that information, his research, and developed an international ag supplement company that some of you may or may not be familiar with. Secondly was my college roommate, Chris Kaler, who worked his way through college as a surveyor for his dad's surveying firm in Cape County. Again, also chose to go to SIU Carbondale so he could commute and maintain working with his father, and to get his civil engineering degree, and took over his dad's practice, and now has grown that into a formidable regional engineering and survey company. And then my very good friend Eric Kropp from even further south of Dunklin County, who had to go to Arkansas State to get his civil engineering degree in order to commute back and forth to Zenith-Hornersville area in South Dunklin County and work with the family while getting his education. And then there's others that are also going over to Murray State, as well as my friend Jake, who went to SIU in order, as an undergraduate, knowing that his likelihood to get into law school would be easier, and was going to have to commute back and forth from Bernie, Missouri to Carbondale during that process. So while SEMO and other regional institutions do have pre-engineering degrees, and to some extent and quote-unquote engineering degree, they are not allowed to offer and confer professional engineering degrees. So SEMO graduates are qualified for quality control and the management of managerial systems, but they do not have the ability to get the professional degrees that will allow the development and implementation of those systems, but only to work for those that do not. Additionally, in the past 30-plus years, Southeast Missouri has seen its workforce and job opportunities stripped and relocated to Northeast Arkansas, mostly in regard to some labor laws between Arkansas and Missouri. And then when we couple the challenge of bringing employers to Southeast Missouri, knowing that the education is going to be coming from Northeast Arkansas, it just compounds the problem. And to know then that SEMO, in particular, who even has a campus in Kennett, Missouri, cannot offer these professional engineering degrees. We continue to see more and more classmates from our high schools in Southeast Missouri migrate down to Arkansas State for these more advanced and professional degrees. It becomes more and more discouraging and problemsome. Lastly, during my 6.5 years of service on the Board of Regents Governors, throughout each of those 6 years, we saw more and more in analyzing recruiting how more and more institutions and rating agencies are utilizing return on investment as the ranking for college and higher education. And if we don't allow our regional institutions and other public institutions to confer degrees that offer a higher income potential from their employment, then eventually that system of ranking, that return on investment, is going to continue to wither away. And so that's then is going to allow or cause our regional institutions, not just Southeast Missouri State, to get lower rankings. And then that won't just reflect poorly on the institution, it will also rank poorly on the state. So for these reasons, again, I ask support of the passage of Senate Bill 749, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you for that testimony. Any questions for this witness from the committee? Yes, Senator, please proceed.
Hey, Ed, it's good to see you.
You too. Thank you.
So, and I appreciate your comments about all of the schools that are around us in Southeast Missouri and how much closer they are, and how SEMO has lost so many of our kids in Southeast Missouri to going to the schools that you mentioned. I think it's also important to mention we're closer to Ole Miss than we are to Mizzou.
Yes.
And so when you take the geography into account, this bill could really help. I mean, the disparity in Southeast Missouri across the rest of the state, when we have such a fine university, but we have kids leaving SEMO because our university isn't offering engineering and some of these others. So thank you so much for making those points, and thank you, Mr. Sponsor, for this bill.
Any further questions for this witness? Seeing none, thank you again for being here. Next witness in support. Please proceed when ready.
Well, thank you so much for hearing this today and for considering SB 749. I am in favor of SB 749. Mine is more of a personal story, and I am here.
If you could, please introduce yourself.
Oh, I'm sorry. My name is Patricia Littall. And I attended Northwest Missouri State University twice in my life. My great-great-great-uncle actually helped found Northwest Missouri State University, as he served as a House member here in 1901 when all of that was being created, the teacher universities. And so I have a great respect for all that you do here, and I just do want to say that as a result of his decision and his work in 1901, creating that teachers college, qualified educators became available to that northwest corner of Missouri. And I'm a product of that. And it provided opportunity and education to remote areas like ours. When I went to Northwest, I came in contact with a lot of people, and a lot of my friends were from Iowa. And they stayed in Missouri after attending Northwest. So just like Ed said, the last witness, the displacement is real. You know, people go to those other universities, they stay in those states. And opportunity lost to Missouri is an opportunity cost, I feel. So to an observer like myself, the current process for offering advanced degrees seems very unfair and even monopolistic, as Tom had mentioned. And if you think about it in the business world, there's laws against monopolistic concerns like that. It'd be like Walmart telling CVS, no, you can't sell heart medication, you can't sell diabetes medication, but go ahead and sell the Band-Aids and, you know, shampoo. It withholds vital needs from a community. And I'm here representing that little sometimes forgotten northwest corner of Missouri. I'm not biased towards Northwest. I want all universities to succeed. I just feel like for people that may not have the opportunity to go to a university in the center of the state, which it might be easier for them because of their location, because of their working in a certain area and needing to advance their degrees, to get further in their in their business. I just feel like from my own situation, I maybe wouldn't have been where I am today had it not been for Northwest. And I only have to look at my own high school classmates to know that, you know, I'm the lucky one. I had family to support me, and I had a college that was close. And I think offering the advanced degrees in each of those regional colleges could really help people that we don't even know about. So I do thank you, and I ask you to please support this change. I think it's pivotal legislation, just like in 1901, creating those teacher colleges. I think this is pivotal legislation for our state and for the citizens of our state. So thank you so much.
Thank you for that testimony. Questions for this witness from the committee? Seeing none. Thank you again for being here. Any further witnesses to testify in support? Seeing none. Any witnesses here to testify in opposition? Please come forward and proceed when ready.
Good morning.
The other number here is 34% of the entire higher education workforce development budget. Ladies and gentlemen, Dusty Schneiders.
Members of the committee, Mr. Chairman, yes, it's going to be fun. My name is Dusty Schneiders, and I'm the government liaison for the University of Missouri system, and I'm here to testify against Senate Bill 749. Today, training our state's workforce is vital for the future of Missouri, and for the following reasons, I want to testify against this bill to keep our existing model of professional education intact. For the benefit of Missouri students, families, universities, and communities, the current model in place is working for the public higher education. Currently, there is no public call for the change of this existing model. The existing model was developed over many years with input from all 2-year and 4-year institutions. The current statute simply requires universities to seek partnerships before starting new degree programs. The system has spent decades building expertise, capacity to grant doctoral degrees through its 4 universities. In turn, we have created numerous partnerships with other universities to ensure that students throughout Missouri have access to these degrees without unnecessary duplication. The areas that need additional programming, we have been in full support of their institutions moving forward without partnerships, including Missouri State's proposal for doctoral degrees in defense studies and occupational therapies, and and proposals from St. Louis Community College, Ozark Tech, Metropolitan Community College to offer bachelor degrees in respiratory therapy. We have also seen successful partnerships exist both within system and outside of it, like the UMKC pharmacy program. While the home base of the program is in Kansas City, we operate satellite programs in Mizzou and at Missouri State. These partnerships give students more options to choose from when they pursue professional degrees. The existing model allows us to work together through partnerships to plan accordingly for the future of higher education in Missouri. We will soon be faced with demographic shifts that will likely result in decrease in the number of high school graduations nationwide after 2026. Finding qualified students for even existing programs will become even more dire. Duplicating doctoral programs will drive up costs for new existing programs. Who will cover these costs? For professional programs like medicine and dentistry, it costs tens of millions of dollars year after year to maintain schools through labs and employees. Startup costs are even higher. For example, the startup cost to create a new high-quality medical school can reach nearly $1 billion, as in one recent new medical school in Texas. Another example closer to home is our new healthcare innovation and delivery building under construction at UMKC, which will cost as much as $120 million. Yet, we will be able to update and rehouse only segments of our teaching facilities for our dental and medical schools. Duplicating programs like this cost a tremendous amount. The existing model has proven worthy by addressing critical needs and offering students many options, all while maintaining fiscal responsibilities to both students and Missouri taxpayers. With all the reasons outlined in this testimony, we can confidently say the existing model is excellent and provides an efficient way to manage our higher education resources. This model should be replicated and not walked away from. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you for that testimony. Questions from the committee? Yes, Senator, please proceed.
Mr. Schneiders, thank you for being here today to provide some testimony. I'm going to be a temporary member of this committee, and my guess is my membership on this committee will not last past today's hearing. But I noticed today, though, that there might have been a little soliloquy between you and the chairman of the Appropriations Committee whenever he was up here. So I appreciate you enduring his harassment. We all have to deal with it on a weekly basis in the Appropriations Committee. And I just have a very simple question for you, just one.
Yeah.
M-I-Z.
ZOU.
There you go.
Any further questions for this witness from the committee? Seeing none, thank you for being here and for your testimony. Further witnesses testify in opposition? Please come forward and proceed when ready.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and ladies and gentlemen of this select committee. I appreciate the opportunity to testify on behalf of the University of Missouri Flagship Council. My name is Chuck Brazil. I'm currently the chairman of the board of the Flagship Council. You mentioned, one of you, about the distinguished senator on my left here. I met with Mr. Sneeders outside, and this gentleman said, I may harass you, so I hope he does not.
It was directed towards Dusty, not yourself.
Great. Thank you very much, sir. I have a very brief comment, Mr. Chairman. I believe the current model for training professional and doctoral degree training is sound and need not be changed. Research doctorates and first professional degree programs can cost tens of millions of dollars, and many others have talked about that, each year to maintain. Certainly startup costs are going to be substantially more. The state has limited amount of taxpayer dollars for higher education. The most cost-efficient and effective way to extend these benefits to the future workforce development and to continue to increase and expand the partnerships for professional doctoral programs with the university is to extend those with the University of Missouri system. An excellent example to which the previous testifier to is the partnership program at UMKC. They have a partnership program and offers satellite programs at Missouri University and also Missouri State, and there are many more. The schools of medicine at MU and UMKC both have grown to include multiple campuses to address rural health care and expand class sizes and make medical education accessible to students throughout the state. And just conclusion briefly, Mr. Chairman, is that I would encourage the committee and the legislature to continue to invest in partnerships among the University of Missouri system schools with other higher education institutions in our state, rather than taking on new duplicating programs. Concludes my testimony. I appreciate it, Mr. Chairman. Try to answer any questions.
Thank you for that testimony and for being here today. Any questions for this witness from the committee? Seeing none, thank you again for being here. Any further witnesses in opposition? Seeing none, any witnesses here testify for informational purposes only? Seeing none, that will conclude.
I don't get any closing remarks.
If you would like,
I'm
Mr.
just-
Chairman.
No, listen, I think everyone obviously knows that oftentimes I joke to try to bring just a little bit of levity to the work that we do around here, and I appreciate the time of the committee. I will just say, and I appreciate what Senator Rader mentioned about, this is about opportunities for students all over the state. This isn't about taking something away from one institution and giving it to another. This is about opportunities for the workforce for the future. And I hope to be able to work with the committee to move this forward. So I appreciate your time very much. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. And with that, we'll conclude the hearing on Senate Bill 749. I move that the committee enter into executive session. Do I have a second? It's been seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed, say no. And the ayes have it. We are in executive session. I next move that Senate Bill 1392 be brought before the committee for consideration. Do I have a second? It's been seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed, no. And the ayes have it. Senate Bill 1392 is before the committee. If everyone will recall, this is the Education Savings Account, Missouri Empowerment Scholarship bill, which is very similar to a bill that has already proceeded to the floor. I won't belabor the conversation unless anyone has any discussion on that bill. Discussion, yes. Senator Carter, please proceed.
So with Senate Bill 1392, are there accommodations to ensure that the ESAs are not going to be spent on those in our state illegally? I was concerned a little bit with the language or just some of the testimony that was provided by the private school in regards to the ESA expansion, that they do service ESL kids and kids that aren't necessarily verifiable citizens of our state. So is there anything in the bill that accommodates that concern? And then what kind of, my next question, what kind of oversight or accountability are there with the ESA and the charter schools in particular? written in the bill.
Senator, I think you had a couple of questions in there, but could you maybe make them a little more succinct?
Yes. Is there anything in the bill that ensures the ESA money is not going to illegals in our state? And is there anything what kind of oversight do we have on how the money is being spent? If we do expand it. Is
Senator,
that succinct enough?
your first concern was illegal aliens, I believe.
Yes.
You know, I don't. I'd have to contemplate that a little bit more, but that seems like a simple fix if that's a concern. I think we all agree, or at least I certainly agree that this should be going to Missouri children.
Great.
Oh.
So I will probably vote no on
Well,
this simply until we have those fixes.
All
in
right.
check. Thank you.
Thank you for those comments. Further discussion.
I just want to say on that topic, there's federal law that protects students from being able to receive, even if they're undocumented, a K through 12 education. So I would just say, as you have those conversations, please be mindful that you're not running afoul of the law.
All right. Excellent. Appreciate those comments as well. Further discussion. Seeing none, I renew my motion that Senate Bill 1392 be voted do pass. Mr. Secretary, please call the roll.
Senator Trent.
Aye.
Senator Coleman.
Aye.
Senator Arthur. Beck. Brown. Carter. Fitzwater. Gannon. Luekemeyer. Thompson Raider.
By your vote of 6 aye and 4 no, you have voted do pass Senate Bill 1392. We will next take up Senate Bill 1391 before the committee. Do I have a second? It's been seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed say no. And the ayes have it. Senate Bill 1391 is before the committee. I next move that we adopt Senate Committee substitute ending in .02C. It's been seconded. Discussion. So let me just say, first of all, by way of explanation, this simply conforms Senate Bill 1391 to the same language that we had in Senate Bill 1392 that the committee just voted on. Any further discussion? Yes, Senator Carter.
So a point of clarity, you're just expanding from Boone County, the charges from Boone County to St. Charles and St. Louis then. Is that correct?
Yes, so St. Louis County, St. Charles County, and Boone County would have charter authorization under this Senate Committee substitute.
Okay, appreciate that. I still have the same concerns, but hopefully we'll be able to work through that, so thank you.
Thank you. Of course, look forward to continuing the discussion as this moves through the process. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I renew my motion. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed say no. And the ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. You have adopted the Senate Committee substitute. I now move that the committee vote do pass Senate Committee substitute for Senate Bill 1391. Any discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Secretary, please call the roll.
Senator Trent.
Aye.
Coleman.
Aye.
Arthur. Beck. Brown. Carter. Fitzwater. Gannon. Luekemeyer. Thompson Raider.
By your vote of 6 yes and 4 no, you have voted do pass Senate Committee substitute for Senate Bill 1391. I next move that Senate Bill 812 be brought before the committee for consideration. Do I have a second? It has been seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed say no. And the ayes have it. Senate Bill 812 is before the committee. I next move that Senate Bill 812 be voted do pass. Senator Coleman, would you like to have a brief explanation of the bill? Okay, everyone remembers it then. Any discussion? Oh. So, well, oh, I'm sorry. Well, I will give a brief explanation. So this is the bill that requires public schools that serve students with IEPs to obtain written
Thank
parental
you. I'm
consent.
sorry, we just had that hearing last week.
Yes.
Did everyone receive a list of what we were doing in executive today? Because we didn't. We asked for one and we didn't receive it. But it sounds like some people received something. Okay. Nope.
All right. Further discussion.
I'm sorry,
Yes,
Senator.
it was
It's the
IEP bill. But Senator Coleman, if you would like to give a detailed discussion,
Senator
please
Gannon,
do.
remember we heard last week from the parents about making sure that if there's changes to the IEP process, that the parents are able to have time to be notified and also to have to agree to those changes so that they aren't just automatically taking place.
Further discussion. Seeing none, I renew my motion that the committee vote do pass Senate Bill 812. No, we do have further discussion. Senator Brown.
I just want to say, this is a bill I don't believe I was here when it was presented. I haven't had the opportunity to review it, so I would have to be a no kind of by default at this point until I've had the opportunity to look into the bill. So, yeah, I don't know where things stand, but
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, Senator Arthur.
I'm going to be a yes to advance the bill out of committee. I think that there could be some language tweak to address some discipline concerns, but I like the bill and I support it and want to see it move through the process.
Thank you for that, Senator. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I again renew my motion that the committee vote do pass Senate Bill 812. Mr. Secretary, please call the roll.
Senator Trent.
Aye.
Coleman.
Aye.
Arthur. Beck. Brown. Carter. Fitzwater. Gannon. Luekemeyer. Thompson Rader.
All right, very good. By your vote of 7 ayes and 3 presents, the bill has been voted, Senate Bill 8112 has been voted do pass. Would next bring before the committee Senate Bill 1032. Do I have a second? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed, say no. And the ayes have it. Senate Bill 1032 is before the committee. This is the mirror bill for Senator Arthur's 1081 bill. Senator, would you like to discuss the bill for a moment?
I don't know if I can. What bill is this?
So
Sorry.
this is this is the bill that requires public notice to develop public schools to develop cardiac emergency response
Yes.
plans, and the intention here is to combine these two bills together and have them proceed to the floor as Senator Eslinger's bill, if that is agreeable.
Yes. Thank
A
you.
Senate committee substitute has been distributed.
This was a bill that Senator Eslinger and I presented together, and the purpose behind it is to help prevent students from going into cardiac arrest, prevent them from going into cardiac arrest, but also having a response if that does happen, so that those students don't die, or anyone on campus.
So I make a motion that the Senate Committee substitute ending in .04C be adopted. Any discussion? Yes, Senator Carter.
So this was, the change for the substitute then is just being, okay.
Yes, it's just combining the two bills together. Further discussion. Senator Brown.
What was the bill number that it was combined with?
It's 1032 and 1081 are the two bills.
Were these on our list?
Well, there wasn't a list distributed. Executive session on all bills was noticed up.
No, I didn't get any.
I mean, it was publicly noticed at the same time that this hearing was noticed. Okay. Very good. Further discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor of adopting Senate Committee substitute, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed say no. And the ayes have it. You have adopted the Senate Committee substitute. I now move that Senate Bill 1032 with Senate Committee substitute be voted do pass. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, Mr. Secretary, please call the roll.
Senator Trent.
Aye.
Coleman. Arthur. Beck. Brown. Carter. Fitzwater. Gannon. Luekemeyer. Thompson Rader.
By your vote of 9 yes and 1 present, you have do passed Senate Bill 1032 with Senate Committee substitute. I next move that Senate Bill 1051 be brought before the committee. Do I have a second? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed say no. And the ayes have it. Senate Bill 1051 is before the committee. If everyone will recall, this is the open enrollment bill that we heard a couple weeks ago. Allows participating schools to accept transfers from other school districts with various restrictions. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, I renew my motion that the committee vote do pass Senate Bill 1051. Mr. Secretary, please call the roll.
Senator Trent.
Aye.
Coleman. Arthur. Beck. Brown. Carter. Fitzwater. Gannon. Luekemeyer. Thompson Rader.
By your vote of 7 aye and 3 no, you have voted do pass Senate Bill 1051. I next move that Senate Bill 1366 be brought before the committee. Do I have a second? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed say no, and the ayes have it. Senate Bill 1366 is before the committee. I have a Senate Committee substitute ending in .03C, and I move for its adoption. So this is this Senate Committee substitute differs from the original bill that we heard in this committee in that it removes the mandate that schools publish accountability scorecards on their websites. It cleans up some definitions, requires DESE to promulgate rules relating to the determination of a standard for college and career readiness, and specifying that provisions in this act apply to charter and school businesses and school buildings in addition to school districts. This is, of course, the overall school accountability bill that requires growth and achievement be the kind of guiding factors in determining student success in our system. Any discussion on the Senate committee substitute? Yes, Senator Carter, please proceed.
So you and I have been in discussion about this piece of legislation and some of the conflicts, obviously, it has with mine that was voted out of the Education Committee with a unanimous vote. I am going to probably vote no on this. I also have similar concerns with this legislation as I do other concerns that I have with the accountability measures being different for this than private schools or charter schools that are taking public funds. So look forward to working with you on that, but I'm a no for now. Thank you.
Appreciate those comments, Senator. Of course, look forward to continue working with you as well. Any further discussion? Yes, Senator Brown.
So you said the substitute, it removes the portion where they post the results publicly?
Well, it removes the scorecard requirement from the websites of the schools. So the scorecards will still be available as they are generally now. But I think there's probably some schools that maybe don't even have a website.
So
So
it's just a matter of where the information is posted?
yes, but the information will still be available to schools and the public and students,
Okay.
parents. Yes, Senator
So
Carter.
the Department of Ed is still promulgating the rules, though, surrounding the accountability, yes?
Yes. Further discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor of adopting the Senate committee substitute, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed, say no. And the ayes have it. You have adopted the Senate committee substitute. I next move that the committee vote do pass Senate committee substitute for Senate Bill 1366. Any discussion? Seeing none. Mr. Secretary, please call the roll.
Senator Trent,
Aye.
Coleman, Arthur, Beck, Brown, Carter, Fitzwater, Gannon, Luekemeyer, Thompson Raider.
By your vote of 6 yes and 4 no, you have voted do pass Senate committee substitute Senate Bill 1366. I now move that Senate Bill 1375 be brought before the committee. Do I have a second? It's been seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed, say no. The ayes have it. Senate Bill 1375 is before the committee. If everyone will recall, this is Senator Eslinger's student enrollment in Missouri Course Access and Virtual School Program Bill. Under this measure, the average daily attendance of a student enrolled full-time in Missouri Course Access and Virtual School Program shall be calculated if the student equaled the host district or charter school's average attendance for the previous year. Host districts receive their state aid on a monthly basis for students enrolled in one or more full-time virtual school program. Any discussion? Seeing none. Mr. Secretary, please call the roll.
Senator Trent,
Aye.
Coleman, Arthur, Beck, Brown, Carter, Fitzwater, Gannon, Luekemeyer, Thompson Raider.
By your vote of 10 yes and 0 no, you have voted do pass Senate Bill 1375. I now move that we go out of executive session. It's been seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed, say no. And the ayes have it. We are out of executive session. We will next have a public hearing on Senate Bill 784. Senator Beck, please proceed when ready.
That's okay. I can read bill numbers pretty quickly.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. Today I'm introducing Senate Bill 784. Senate Bill 784 is a multifaceted bill that aims to give neighborhoods and communities a stronger foundation by allowing them to have educational incentives to do what is best for them, the school, and the children. In the past few years, more schools around the state have started to adopt a 4-day school week. 4-day school weeks are popular and seem to have minimal repercussions to learning and teacher retention. However, we live in a big and diverse state, and as such, different communities, different districts have different needs. While the 4-day week may be appealing and feasible for some communities, Senate Bill 784 provides that school districts located wholly or partially in the charter counties or cities of more than 30,000 inhabitants, should they want to, may adopt a 4-day school week only upon the majority vote of qualified voters in the school district. Senate Bill 874 does not prohibit 4-day weeks, but rather involves the whole community by allowing the people to decide what works best for their neighborhood. 4-day weeks are appealing to some districts because of how they help with teacher retention and teacher pay. It creates a provision that instructs DESE to remit to any school district or charter school with a 5-day school week an amount equal to 2% of such districts or charter schools' June state and entitlement for the preceding year. Such funds shall be used exclusively to increase teacher salaries, hence helping address the differences between a 5-day and 4-day school week. I'm doing pretty good with not having glasses on to read. This is a big blur, just so you know. What I like the most about this bill, it has the provision on modification of school terms by providing that school districts located in charter counties or cities of more than 30,000 inhabitants shall have a school term that consists of at least 169 school days, unless that district has adopted a 4-day school week, in which case a school term shall consist of at least 142 school days. Additionally, if the school district goes 175 plus days of teacher-student contact, the school district can choose their start date earlier than 14 days prior to the first Monday in September by following the procedure set forth in the Act. This way, it allows school districts to plan out their year, or so perhaps they can adapt to winter breaks or professional development for teachers. Finally, I want to thank the committee for taking time to listen to this bill. I think it's very important, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much for that presentation. Do we have any questions for the bill sponsor from the committee? Yes, Senator Brown.
Hey, Senator.
Hey.
So I'm relatively familiar with the topic as we kind of worked together on this with one of my other education bills last year.
Yes.
There was a concern that was raised to me at one point in that conversation about the collective bargaining agreements and if those would be affected. I think that we had figured out a solution to that last year. Is that included in this bill to where any existing contracts would be honored till their expiration before the hourly change would take effect?
Yeah, so what you're currently seeing is there's a period of time where this takes place. It wouldn't if there's a district, which I believe I only know of one at this point, that's currently going 4 days, that would be affected by this. There's a time period. They wouldn't have to do it right away. They got at least a year, so they can work out their collective bargaining or whatever the case may be. This bill is filled with a lot of carrots. There are no sticks, and that's what I was trying to do with this bill. I was trying to incentivize 5-day schools.
Okay, thank you.
Further questions from the committee for the bill sponsor? Seeing none. Witnesses here testify in support. Senate Bill 784. Seeing none. Any witnesses here testify in opposition for Senate Bill 784? Also seeing none. Witnesses, well, come forward if we have a witness here. Are you in support or opposition?
Right now I'm in opposition.
Have a seat. Please make sure you filled out a witness card and proceed when ready.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, thank you for allowing me to come today. I would like to also thank Senator Beck for his hard work on this bill. And I'm not opposed to the total bill, but I'm opposed to certain aspects of the bill. Specifically, my name is Larry Helms. I'm the Executive Director of the Missouri Association of RV Parks and Campgrounds.
and I've been executive director for several years, and specifically the last 10 years, and have watched how tourism is impacted by school start dates. One of the most important things was that we worked very, very hard as an industry, the outdoor hospitality industry, back when Governor Parsons signed the current law into effect when schools can start, and we have seen a positive impact with that lockdown school date on our businesses in the state. Important part about that, in the outdoor hospitality industry, if you look at coming this May through August, we only have about 15 weekends for those businesses, small businesses such as campgrounds, during that prime time to be able to make a living for the whole year. So having any impact, shortening lengthening the school time will have a big impact probably on the bottom line. This also, we would like to see a date, like currently we have a solid date of when school will start, which gives our business owners opportunity to plan for hiring staff or taking a look at what they have to do for that business year. Also, we see the outdoor hospitality industry hires a lot of students, and with those students, oftentimes, depending on when that the start date is set, they are no longer available to work in businesses and has an negative impact on those businesses. Another important part, and I am a campground owner in Pulaski County. My campground is about 7 miles downriver from Lieutenant Governor Keough's property, and so he's very familiar with what we do. And one of the important parts about that, as we start to look at, we're a small business. I have 50 campsites, and one of the things that we do, we have an online reservation system, and we track zip codes of folks that are coming from around the state, coming to our small campground in the Ozarks. One of the things we see, 80% of my business comes from the metropolitan areas in the state. Kansas City, St. Louis, St. Charles, Springfield, Jefferson City. We see, and we can track that simply because we do have an online reservation system where those folks will put their zip codes in. With that, having said that, it's really, really important to have as many weekends as possible for us to be able to make our bottom line. So I'm not opposed to the entire bill. I would like to see some movement on having a solid start date so that when we have school districts starting in Kansas City, for the longest time I thought, well, this will have no impact on us in Pulaski County, a rural area, but a lot of folks come from the cities to the rural areas, so whatever date is set for Kansas City, St. Louis, or whatever, it does have impact on small businesses out around the state, because lots of our business comes from families. Another thing I think it's really important for is families to be able to have a date for them to be able to plan their vacations and their period, as they look to having time for vacation. I believe allowing families to recreate, having another date or another weekend or 2 weekends gives them more options. I also like to say that the current situation, the date that is set, has had a positive impact on our county, and I would like to present a couple of ideas. I'm on the Pulaski County Tourism Board of Directors and we are an affiliated center there in the county. And here's the thing: we had in 2019, we had a 16% increase in our lodging tax revenue. During COVID, we had a decrease in that revenue, but in 22 and 23, we had a 62% and a 78% increase in our cabin lodging tax, respectively. So we see that the current date is working.
We'd like to see anything passed or come out of committee that would help the outdoor hospitality industry, bring clarity, and continue to help with the state tourism revenue. I have a report here I'd like to enter into for the committee's consideration. This is the FY23 report on the Missouri Division of Tourism. Specifically, it talks about state tax revenues from tourism was $611 million. The taxable sales in tourism was $17.6 billion with a B. So we do believe that school start and anything that's done with that has an impact, and we'd like to see our revenues stay up. We'd like to see folks coming in from around from other states as well. And so I'd just like to say thanks again for letting me come, and subject to your questions.
Appreciate that testimony. Any questions for this witness from the committee? Seeing none. Thank you again for being here.
I'd like to work with you.
Further witnesses testify in opposition? Seeing none. Any witnesses here testify for informational purposes only? Please come forward, make sure you filled out a witness card, and proceed when ready.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and committee. My name is Robert Bass. I'm an outfitter from Crawford County in Steelville, Missouri. I was part of the group that asked for school start dates to get closer to Labor Day. Was questionable whether it'd make much difference. Our association had done a poll among all the outfitters, those that would respond. We found that there were increases comparing 2018 all the way through 2023. Increases when that school start date backed up, just those couple weeks, increases 25 to 75% difference just for 2 weeks. As Mr. Helms stated, we only operate out of 13 to 15 week main season. The Labor Day time is so crucial in comparison to the Memorial time. Everybody knows in the outdoor recreation the weather is very temperamental. Labor Day makes such a difference for us. Would like to see that stay the way it is. In my community, 3 of the top 5 real estate taxpayers are all river resort businesses that operate on a 3-month season. It's absolutely imperative in our communities that we keep these businesses going. May not seem very important to those schools of 30,000. That's where all our customers come from. I can recite zip codes. And it is very important that we all try to work together to find a spot that we can make that happen. Not to mention, that was the real estate taxes. Sales taxes equally as important to those communities. We have payrolls over $1 million for many of our operations, equally the same to keep that going in those communities. I guess that's it. I want to, this isn't my forte. It is very important that we keep the recreation for those southern communities, and that the urban communities help us. And I do appreciate Senator Beck listening to us earlier and being very acute to our needs.
Appreciate that testimony and your presence here today. Any questions for this witness from the committee? Seeing none, thank you again.
Thank you.
Any further witnesses to testify for informational purposes only? Seeing none, that will conclude the public hearing on Senate Bill 784. With no further business coming before the committee, we are adjourned.